Hey, I've got a big question for you. Is your business stuck? Now, I need to explain before we dive into this special training. I am not here live, okay? This is an automated training. Some people call this evergreen webinar training. And so you record it, you set up this really cool system, and technically this webinar will run every 15 minutes. So it can really help people access the information. Now, you can submit questions or responses to questions I ask during the training using the email button at the bottom of the chat. So you type in your question or comment and you hit send email, and it will send me that information automatically. Now, the reason I want to make that clear is, first of all, I want to be totally transparent that I'm not here live, okay? Otherwise, I would be on my computer 24/7. The second reason, and this is really important, if I was going to launch another direct sales business, this is the way I would set up an information meeting about the business online. Now, of course, I'd have to make sure that it was okay with the company I was affiliated with, but I would want that automated information out there for my prospects working to build my business 24/7. So pay attention to how this works. It's a really cool system. Just takes a little bit to get set up, okay? All right, so with that, let's jump into the training. Most consultants or leaders reach a point where their business is stuck. Now, I like to call it them trying to get up the warped wall. I'm a huge American Ninja Warrior fan. I clear out my schedule so I can watch that program all summer long, because that's usually when they show it on TV. I want to travel and watch the finals in Vegas. That's on my bucket list. But anyway, one of the obstacles is the warped wall, and they don't have a long distance. It's about 14 feet tall, and it's curved. And the athletes have to run up this wall and grab to the top and pull themselves up the wall. Okay? Now, if they don't know how to do this properly, they run at it and then they go back down the wall. And they run at it and go back down the wall. If they miss 3 times, they're out. Okay? But a lot of times that's how people work in their businesses. They keep trying to run up the warped wall and they don't make it to the top. If you struggle to consistently book your parties, then your business is probably stuck. Or if you haven't started building a team and you haven't earned your first promotion and you've been in the business more than 6 months, your business is probably stuck. If you've earned a promotion but rarely get paid at title, and that's so frustrating, well, your business is stuck. And if you're a leader, but you haven't promoted any new leaders for at least a year, your business is stuck. It doesn't have to be this way. The challenge is consultants get stuck at these various growth stages for different reasons. Our business is actually very predictable, and it's easy to diagnose challenges when you approach it as a process. Now, if you're serious about being a strong leader, it's important not only to get unstuck yourself, but to learn how to identify and coach your team members past their sticking points. Now, the whole purpose of this webinar, I want to help you get unstuck. I'm Susie Nelson, and we've got lots of people watching this who have not attended my training in the past. So I'm giving you a short intro about my background, for those who don't know me. I also think it's important, when you're going to invest your time in watching training, I want to make sure that you check that you're getting advice and information from somebody who has been where you want to go. Now, I didn't start in my direct sales business with a goal of building an empire. That wasn't my goal. In fact, I had just finished my engineering degree, and I had started working in this little small town at a small entrepreneurial company in Southwest Minnesota. So I wanted to meet some new friends. I wanted to pay off my student loans a little faster, and I wanted to learn more about small business. Now, I dove in. It's a long story. We don't have time for it here, but I was the least likely to succeed in my former company. If there had been a vote, it would have been me, right? I was affiliated with a company called Weekenders USA, and they sold women's mix and match fashions through home parties. Now, I'm not into fashion. I could care less about the latest fashion trends. I don't subscribe to a fashion magazine. I don't watch Project Runway. I could care less. I'm happy in a sweatshirt and shorts. Okay? So first, I didn't care about fashion. Second, my family members never hosted a party for me. Only one of my friends ever hosted a party to help me launch my business. And our company was a startup when I joined it. So I was the first consultant in the entire state of South Dakota. I think I was like consultant 117 or something like that. And this was before we had the internet, of course. So you didn't have access to back office training or back offices at all. My sales manager lived in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So she was about 5 hours away from me. So I couldn't attend her monthly meetings. My sponsor, I don't have it on this slide, but my sponsor quit the business 2 days after she sponsored me. And I got this training video with my sample kit, but I didn't own a VCR, so I had nothing to watch it on. So I got off to a really slow and rocky start. But I made the decision to go to my company's first national conference. It was probably 150 people in a small portion of a ballroom at a hotel, right? Because that's what companies do when they're first growing. But I went to that conference and I caught the vision. I watched women who were walking across stage from all different walks of life. You know, one was a single parent who wanted to be home with her son. Another was the wife of a veterinarian. Another one had never graduated from high school. Another one was the wife of an architect, and she was doing this more for philanthropic work and fun. So I watched these women from all different walks of life, all doing well with their businesses. And I looked at that and said, I think I am on the front end of a cool opportunity here. So my why changed, right? I started just to, make some friends and learn about small business and pay off some loans a little faster. Well, now my why changed. I figured out that if I focused and built my business, I could quit a job that I hated. I could have control of my schedule. I could have control of my income. Plus, there's one more big reason that I'll share with you later on. Okay, so my why completely shifted that weekend. That day, I made a decision. If I was going to be in business, then I was truly going to build a business. All right, so a big part of this starts with a decision. So I have a really long list of achievements, okay? And I'm not going to read through all of these. I don't want to bore you to death. But there's 3 really important milestones or achievements that you should care about before you watch my training, okay? The first is I built and maintained a 6-figure income for 11 years straight. Now, I did my homework. I called the DSA. I looked at some sales disclosure statements from some different companies that post them on their websites, and I did my homework. Fewer than 0.1% of the consultants in the business ever achieve 6 figures or higher. Okay, now I'm totally anal about numbers. I took my organization and transposed it into comp plans from some of the other popular companies these days, because my company had a horrible compensation plan. If I had been with a different company, I would have been earning 7 figures for at least 6 years. Okay, so again, I had a lot of other benefits and learned a lot and all those kinds of things, but it was not a lucrative comp plan. So I just put up some proof. These are copies of my 1099s, so you can see that I did indeed earn over 100,000, and this was in commissions based on my organization. So 123, 134, and so on. All right. The second big milestone, I built to the very top level in my company's compensation plan. Okay, it was national sales manager. You had to promote 10 units. Units were groups of 20 consultants or more. So you had to promote 10 units in order to reach that level. I was the second person in our company to do that, and only 6 people ever got there in its 20-year history. I also achieved it before my own upline manager. And the third milestone, and this one is the one I care the most about, I promoted the most managers or leaders of anyone in my former company. See, I believe the beauty of our business model is anyone who chooses, no matter what your background, can get to the top as quickly as you choose without working 24/7 if you really learn how to approach your business the right way. There's no limit, right? Not like the corporate world where there's only a certain number of positions open and lots of people apply for the same position to earn a promotion, right? In our world, anybody can earn a promotion when they choose. So if I can do this, and if I can have that kind of track record in my former company, I know that anyone can do this. But your business probably needs a makeover in order to make it happen. Now, the company I was affiliated with ceased operations in 2008. And if any of you have ever gone through that, that's a very sad process and a very sad day. I don't wish that on anybody. But, businesses ebb and flow and markets change and things happen in business. So for me, it was my time to say, okay, I'm ready for some new challenges. I worked on the corporate side of the business for 4 different startups. That was a very interesting learning experience. Learned an incredible amount from that. And I made a decision that I wanted to help more people. So I launched my coaching and training company in 2013. And so I am now, through that process, I'm the author of 7 books and more to come. You can find them on Amazon or Kindle. And I have many training programs with a focus on simple, fundamental skills that can be easily taught and copied, because that's a big, fundamental part of our business, right? Is that you want everybody to feel they can copy you. So grab a pen and paper. Enough about me, but grab a pen and paper. Remember, you can send me an email and post your responses to some of the things I'm going to ask you by typing in the bottom of the chat and pressing send the email, okay? So here's what we're going to cover. Number 1, when and why consultants get stuck and what needs to change at each of those sticking points in order to move their businesses forward. The second thing, 5 things you need to do now to position your business for exponential growth or achieve your next big milestone in the next 3 to 4 months. And number 3, why every business needs a coach and what you should consider when choosing a coach. Plus, I promise to share how you can get more information about working with me. So here's my first question for you. Where are you at in your business? Now, again, type that response in the chat and send it to me by email. I will be looking at it within 24 hours. Here's typically places where people are at and stuck. First is they've been in the business for less than a year, they have a big vision, and they're ready to build an empire within your company just like I did. Okay, we want to keep you focused, we want to keep your business streamlined, and we want to help you achieve those dreams. The second place, maybe you've been in business for more than a year and you're anxious to earn your first promotion. Maybe you're a little nervous about it, maybe you're a little scared about it, or maybe you just, it hasn't worked out with your schedule, who knows, okay? But that might be the second place where you're at. Third option, you've earned a promotion but rarely get paid at title. That's an ouch, right? I mean, I want you to make a lot of money. So I want to teach you how to set up your business so you get paid at title every single month. Fourth option, you've earned a promotion but didn't maintain it. That's a bigger ouch. Now, the good news is you learned a lot from that experience, right? So if you're ready to focus and build again, I want to teach you how to approach that entirely differently. So it's a fun experience, so that your team is engaged and that you come out of your qualification and keep right on building and never look back. Okay? Now, the fifth spot might be you've earned a promotion, and your next promotion depends on promoting others. Okay, that's a big thing to learn. Again, I promoted the most managers in my former company because I really figured out how to do that effectively, and how to help people build, strong organizations. Now, I'm a process girl. When I was a kid, I'm sure you've heard lather, rinse, repeat before, but it really means a lot to me because when I was a kid, I hated to go to bed early. I was just a natural night owl at that point, not anymore, but I was at that point in my life. And so my mother would send me upstairs to go to bed and tell me to take a bath first. Well, I read the shampoo bottle and it literally said lather, rinse, repeat. So I figured out that I could keep washing my hair over and over again in order to avoid going to bed. My mom figured it out pretty fast, okay? But that is how the system of this business works, right? It's a system and it's lather, rinse, repeat. And when you approach it that way, then you can optimize and really get this working like a machine. So think about it this way. Your personal business is a process. That's where you get people excited about your products. Once they're excited, explain your hostess rewards. Ask them to book a party, coach them really well, do an effective presentation. Then from that presentation, you will book future parties. You'll schedule appointments with people who want to learn more about your business. Some of those people will sign up and become part of your team, train them well, and repeat. Okay, I went through that fast, but that's really the personal business process. Launching new consultants is a process, looking at how you coach them, how you help them do a launch party, how you keep them on track and get them past what I call their speed bump. It's all a process, okay? Promoting leaders is also a process, and that's when people mess this up, is that they don't really take a step back and look at all the components of what makes an organization succeed long term. And transitioning those new leaders into their role as a leader, from consultant to leader, is also a process. My upline manager basically cut me off the day I promoted. I have other upline leaders that I've coached who need to let go and let their people embrace their new role. I think it's a transition, and I think it should take about 3 months, and then everybody is comfortable and doing well. But that's a whole long training and story. Okay. Now, when you implement and use processes in your business, it's easier to find problem points. It will use less of your time, and it will grow faster. So let's dig into these different stuck spots, okay? Places where people get stuck. There's 5 of them, and I'm going to share all 5 and why it happens and what you can do to change it. So stuck spot number 1 is brand new consultants. It just breaks my heart. We have so many people who sign up in our businesses, and they're talented people. But a big percentage of them don't go on to be successful business people. Now, it might be they don't want it, right? That's okay. But they get stuck very often, and most often, because they never learn how to book parties at their parties. Okay, so it's critically important in the early stages of their business that they learn that skill. The second reason is they often hit what I call a speed bump, right? So they launch their business, they're all excited. Maybe they did their launch party, booked a couple parties with friends. Something goes wrong. Whether, they do a party with 10 people and nobody buys, or, they have somebody who cancels the party while they're on their way to the hostess's home, whatever. Okay. They hit that speed bump, and suddenly their self-confidence is blown away. They are, now they think, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I'm not any good at this. Did I make a bad decision? What have I gotten myself into? And that's the most critical place you have to get these people past. If you get them past their speed bump, I usually found about 40% went on to become very successful consultants. The others might have been, somewhat active. And of course, about 20% just decided it's not the right business for them. And that's just part of it. So how do you get them unstuck? Well, the first thing for these people is to really focus on them learning the basic skills of the business. Booking skills, sponsoring skills, hostess coaching skills, how to sell more at every party. And of course, from that list, the most important skill is booking skills. If they have no bookings, they have no business, right? So that's the most important. Stuck spot number 2. Building a productive team. A couple years ago, I was doing a summer class with a group of 67 consultants, great group, and I surveyed them and asked, what's your number 1 and number 2 challenges in your business? Overwhelmingly, number 1 was they were having problems putting and keeping bookings on their own calendars. And number 2 was they didn't have productive teams. Now, I think you can kind of see how those two relate, right? I mean, if they can't keep their own calendar full, obviously they're going to have some challenges teaching team members how to do the same. But that being said, it is a place where people get stuck, right? They want to earn a promotion, but they sponsor some people and the people aren't doing anything. So let's look at what happens that this is the place where they get stuck. Well, first of all, we have to look at how they sponsor people. Okay, so oftentimes when I'm working with my coaching students and I say, walk me through your presentation. Tell me, how do you put it out there and talk to people about joining your team in your business? And I'm going to tell you, most of the time when they're frustrated that they don't have people actively working their businesses, they have approached people who were purchasing things that come in their sample kits, and they were basically telling these people, you should just sign up and get the kit because you'll get all of these things and these other products for just $99 or whatever their kit costs. Okay, so instead of really finding and connecting with people who want to build some sort of income or business, they're simply selling kits. Can you see the difference there? I hope I explained that well, because it's really important to think about how you're approaching people about the business. Now, I have an entire courses that teach you how to, connect, get them off to a strong start, create expectations, and really raise the bar so people just know they're going to produce. But we don't have time to cover it in this course, okay? But the second thing is how they train their team. I'm often surprised when they don't actually help a new person do a launch party. Now, I get it. Maybe you've sponsored somebody across the country. I did that too. And that just takes a lot more phone coaching and, close follow-up to nurse them and coach them through it. You can certainly do it effectively. But if they live close by, not only do I want to get their launch party scheduled fast, I want to try to do it before they even get their kit. Okay? We can use my kit. So I want to get them started fast, and I want to make sure the focus from that launch party is for us to put at least 4 to 5 bookings on this new consultant's calendar. Okay, too often, and a lot of times it's because of some of the incentives companies are offering, too often they put that focus at that first party on having really high sales because it helps them achieve, qualification milestones. But unfortunately, when they do that, if this person doesn't learn how to book parties from their parties, their business is dying very fast, right? It's wilting on the vine. So really that needs to be that focus. The third thing is watching for that speed bump I talked about a few minutes ago. That's the point where they need you the most. That's when they need you to say, why don't I come and watch your next party? Or why don't you come to my party and we can go for coffee afterwards? That's when they need you to tell them all the things they're doing well and that this is a natural part of their learning curve in the business is to go through a couple of these experiences that know their mother-in-law is not right. They're going to be really great at this business. business. This is just part of learning the business. Okay. So that's when you're really working to get them past that speed bump. Now, to get them unstuck, review and change how you sponsor. Okay. So don't sell kits, don't sell discounts, offer this as a business and, not that everyone wants to build to the top, but offer it as a business where people want to earn some sort of a part-time or full-time income. Second is launch parties. Like I just explained, focus on bookings. The sales will come if they book lots of parties, right? Number 3, get clear about those speed bumps and really start to watch for it because they all go through it, okay? And they'll tend to go and hide. I call it that they hide in their cave. You got to go drag them out of the cave, even if it means going and ringing their doorbell, okay? Because they might avoid you because they're embarrassed or feel bad that things aren't going well. And number 4, relaunch non-productive consultants. So if you've got a team right now of people that you sponsored and maybe you didn't sponsor them the right way, there's ways you can reach out and connect with them and find out, why did you start and, why have you stayed in the business this long? And, I've learned a lot since you started your business. Why don't we go through this plan of how you could relaunch and get back on track? How do you feel about that? I find usually 30 to 40% of unproductive team members do really want to build that income, and they're open to relaunching when you work with them closely. Okay? Okay, stuck spot number 3, when it comes to earning a promotion. So that's kind of that warped wall that I described earlier, right? People kind of run at it, but then they've got, for some reason they don't quite have what they need to meet the qualification requirements. So let's talk about why they get stuck. Well, coaching people into and through their promotions is one of my favorite things to do. It's very practical. I love pulling in the data because it just takes all the emotion out of it. Okay. But sometimes people promote too fast. Now, this often happens when a very well-meaning upline person sees that they're getting close to checking off the requirements on the chart, right? Without really digging further. And they get excited because they know if this person promotes, it means I'm going to promote too. And like I said, they're very well-meaning. But if you think about it, a lot of times, okay, you might be kind of the equivalent of kindergarten in the business, but a lot of times they're not that far ahead of you. They might just really be in first grade. Now, a first grader obviously knows more than a kindergartner, but it's not the same as that person who's, graduated and gotten through all levels of education, who sees the bigger picture. Okay, so you want to be careful that you don't promote too fast. At the same time, you don't want to wait too long because you're leaving lots of money on the table. When I hear stories of leaders who basically kind of forced their team members to meet requirements that are different than the company's requirements in order to promote. I know they think that they're helping them to be strong, but a lot of times they're holding them back and they're losing money that they could be earning by promoting sooner. Okay. Again, I don't want to ever set somebody up for failure. I want to watch the numbers. So you promote when you and your team, notice I said you and your team are well prepared. You don't promote just you, right? It takes a team effort. And the more you have your team excited and involved and engaged in this process, the more productive and successful you're going to be, and the more fun you're going to have. Another reason is they often get just a really short-term focus, right? So they just are looking at what do I have to check off in the boxes, but they're not really digging in and finding out what's going on with each of those businesses. Okay, so let me give you an example. One of the things I'm always going to ask someone preparing to earn a promotion, and I'm going to ask them this the 15th of the month prior to earning that promotion, and that is, tell me how many bookings do you and your team members have on your calendars for the upcoming 2 months? Now, a lot of times they look like a deer in the headlight, okay? But, if you don't know what you've got coming up for bookings, right, you're already setting yourself up to struggle. Okay, knowing and asking people to share those numbers is critically important, and I like to teach people very easy systems on how to make that your focus. In fact, I have an entire process for promoting leaders, and it works extremely well. So that's just one example, okay? So to get unstuck, we want to start by you building a really strong foundation. That means, if you sponsoring some good people who are actively putting bookings on their calendar because you've taught them how. We also want to focus on the numbers. That example I just shared about the number of bookings is a prime example. And the third thing, we want to engage your team and get them involved and participating in the process. As an example, I like to have my people preparing for promotions to do a team meeting and go through the requirements and ask for everybody's help, okay? It really works well. Stuck spot number 4, the struggling leader. Now, one of the biggest frustrations I hear from coaching students is having those unproductive teams. And it's really not the team's fault, guys. I hate to say that, but it's not. But it is frustrating. So are you in the get paid a title, every third month kind of cycle? Usually they're asking their family to buy stuff or doing crazy things to meet those numbers every third month. It doesn't have to be that way. So let's talk about why people get stuck at this point. Well, first, they usually haven't effectively transitioned from consultant to leader. I like to use the example is that in this business, okay, compared to the corporate world, I'm sure you have heard the phrase, he's being groomed for management or she's being groomed for management, right? So this person is, probably being sent to some special training, being assigned projects and leading small teams and doing all this kind of stuff that prepares them for the job they're going to move into. In our world, you earn the title, and then, of course, depending on the timing and depending on your company, then you get training. So I told you I was a part of a startup. Now, I promoted on December 1st, but because we didn't yet have enough managers, again, this was a startup, we were invited, and this was very generous. The company flew us to Chicago for a week of training at their expense. So the hotel rooms, the meals, the flights, all that stuff. It was a week of training, and at that point, we didn't have corporate people, so it was with the president of the company. We had 6 managers. They had done one the previous year, okay, and they had to wait, so they had enough of a group to justify the president's time with us for a week. So, I had been a manager for 7 months by the time I went to new manager training. So, I wasn't going to sit around and twiddle my thumbs till that happened. So I dug in and I made a lot of stuff really difficult. It didn't slow me down, but I certainly had kind of made a mess of how I managed my business. So a lot of times people haven't transitioned well into this new role. They have the best intentions. They start spending their time on all kinds of crazy things, okay? And it throws them off the focus. So sometimes they've promoted weak. I talked about that in the previous section. They barely met the requirements instead of preparing well and engaging their team. But a bigger thing that often happens is they go through that qualification and, maybe they worked hard and it was kind of stressful. And so they finish it up and then it's like, phew, and they stop doing what they did to earn that promotion. In fact, the very first milestone that I use with my coaching students, I want them to stay focused for their first 6 to 8 weeks after earning a promotion on one thing. And guess what that one thing is? You can even type it and send it to me in an email right now if you want. I'm going to give you a second to do that because I want you to guess what's the one thing. I don't care about any of the other stuff. I don't care about them setting up their own Facebook groups or sending out an email newsletter or shopping for Happy Mail or thinking up creative incentives. All that stuff's a waste of time. Okay, there's one thing that I want you to do if you're a brand new leader, or if you're a leader who's been struggling along, we've got to get you back on track, right? That is, I want you to focus on doubling the size of your team in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Right? Now, if you think about it, let's say you have a team of 6 people. All right. So we want you to double to 12. Well, if you sponsor 2 or 3 yourself, and if you help a couple people do the same exact thing, sponsor a couple people each, you'll be at 12 in a heartbeat. If you have twice as many people or 3 times as many people as what you need to maintain your team, don't you think it's going to be a lot easier to easily exceed the requirements for qualification or to get paid at title? So that is the one big milestone that you want to focus on first. Then the other thing is they start making the role really difficult. They try to be everything for everyone. So, they're contacting some people with email and some people with Facebook groups, and they're getting text messages, throughout the day and night, and answering them immediately and doing all this crazy stuff. Okay, we got to strip all that out and streamline your business and really take a look at how you spend every precious hour, because you can be highly successful in a leadership role in your company putting in very part-time hours. Okay, now get unstuck. So put yourself back in promotion mode. I mentioned it earlier, but make that goal to double your team in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Get back to building your foundation. The people you personally sponsor and train are always going to be some of your strongest, right? Because you're a pro, they get your help. Double your team fast. I mentioned that. And then once you get to that point, we can work on putting good communication and accountability systems in place, and recognition systems, and the basic things that your team members will appreciate. Okay, I even want to teach you how to leverage the other things that are out there for you, so that you're not just duplicating information and things that your team members get somewhere else. Okay. All right, the last stuck spot number 5. The director who has promoted, director or leader or whatever you call it in your company, who has promoted 2 to 3 leaders herself. Maybe they kind of all rode the mushroom, right? Maybe they were all excited and built at the same time, and it happened quickly. And now you're all kind of sitting there going, okay, what next? But often she's promoted 2 or 3 people, and her next promotion depends on promoting others. And they get there and they're stuck. So let's talk about why they get stuck. Often they're focusing on the wrong people. Okay, so people, especially when you're an upline leader, depending on your communication style, often people want to tell you what you want to hear versus what they really are thinking. Okay, so it really is a big trick to figure out who should I be focusing my precious time and energy on, and who should I say, when you show me this behavior, I'm happy to help. Right? So if somebody says they want leadership and you say, well, how many bookings have you got in the calendar? And it's like, well, I have 0, or, I have 1 and it's coming up in 3 months. Their actions aren't matching their behaviors. Now, it's possible that's happening because they need some training, right? So you want to get really good at providing just the exact training that's going to help them break loose from where they're stuck and start to move to the next level. I want you to also focus on activities. I want to make sure you don't focus on activities that don't produce results. I mentioned a bunch of them earlier. Suddenly you'll see leaders who are spending 3, 4, 5 hours a day in Facebook groups posting all their ideas. I coached one leader who spent easily 10 to 12 hours a week purchasing and wrapping Happy Mail. And I'm sorry, that's not being a leader. That's just somebody who likes to shop. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you never want to send people some Happy Mail, but when that becomes your focus, and if you think that's going to be what keeps them moving forward, it doesn't. Also, a big problem is when a leader doesn't keep her personal business strong. So I like to teach leaders that they should do a weekly meeting with their boss. And by the way, that's them. And the first part of that meeting is looking at their own calendar and looking at what they have coming up for their own bookings to meet their sales requirement. And then, of course, looking at what they have coming up with prospects, preferably new prospects. Then they can start to look at their team and what the team is needing and where they need to provide that support to continue growing their organization. But they've got to start first with their personal business. If their personal business isn't strong, now I'm not saying outselling, 20 grand a month. I'm just saying, that if it's good for you to be booking 4 to 5 parties per month, that you make sure you've always got that on your calendar looking forward 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. Because then if you don't have your own parties and you're stressed out about meeting your numbers, we don't ever want you in that position. Smart leaders promote strong leaders. So the way that you get unstuck, first of all, is stop focusing on the wrong people, right? If they're not willing to learn how to put those parties in their calendar, but they're telling you they're going to be your next leader, we'll let them know what they have to do to get your attention. Learn to provide the training your team members need that move them to the next level. So let me give you a great example. When I said your first milestone should be to double the size of your unit or your organization, whatever you call it. Well, a lot of times I've heard some of my coaching students say, okay, so I'm going to put on this sponsoring training. Well, if you've got a team of 6 people and you have 2 people who are booking parties regularly and the other 4 people are struggling to book parties, to train those 4 on how to sponsor when they have no parties on their calendar, it's not going to happen, right? That voice in their head's going to go, well, she's one of my best hostesses and she books a party every catalog. And so I don't want to sponsor her because I'm going to lose that party, and so on and so on and so on. So you have to train the group differently, right? The 2 that are consistent with their bookings, they're ready to start learning sponsoring skills. The ones who are hanging out there doing nothing, they need to focus on their booking skills. Okay? So train them to do what they need the most. And keep feeding your funnel. So, a lot of times, again, people get out of focusing first on their personal business. This doesn't have to take you, 1 million hours per month, doing 4 to 5 parties and following up with prospects, or better yet, getting those prospects to a group type setting or even to an online type information program like what I described at the very beginning of this training. That can be your prospect follow-up, but you've got to first make sure your organization, your personally sponsored team members stay strong. So to give you an example, in my former company, to go into qualification, we had to sponsor 12 people. And from that point forward, with the help of those people, we had to grow to a unit of 20 or more. Anyone they sponsored prior to that date never counted in our units. So I made the decision that I would always personally have an organization of at least 20 personally sponsored consultants. So I never ever teetered with concern about not meeting my numbers. Usually I hovered around 23 or 24 that I had personally sponsored, but I had this strong foundation then where I could then start building leaders from that. All right, so keep feeding your funnel with personal prospects, and keep, if you have somebody who goes inactive, replace them. Or if you have somebody who's just not doing a lot of production, get a productive one on your team. If you have to have at least 4 active consultants, you want to have 8 to 10 that you have personally sponsored. So the final reason we tend to get stuck is that we stink at being our own boss. No, it's so true. I have met so many talented women in this business, and so often, if at their jobs, they show up early, they stay late, they take on extra projects without expecting recognition, they help others, they are exemplary employees. But they're always so busy helping others and doing nice things for others that when it comes to their business, they're much too willing to put it on the back burner for other people's priorities. So you got to learn how to sort through that, right? I mean, obviously, if you have a sick child or something happening with your parents, you know, some of those very urgent kind of family things, those do take a priority. But, you know, if it's that your kid needs some help with homework, you know, maybe you can work it out with your spouse that on, you know, a couple nights a week that it's his turn to do that. Or, you know, the bathroom can wait and get cleaned tomorrow morning, or the laundry can get folded tomorrow. It doesn't have to be folded tonight. And what the heck, somebody can pull it out of the laundry basket and put it on if they have to, right? And it's not tough to teach a child how to load a washing machine and turn it on. So there's all kinds of ways that you can not be the person doing all those things and instead focusing the time that you commit to building your business. But, you know, we stink at being our own boss. So have you personally decided to take your business to the next level? I want you to type that into the chat box and send me that email so I can look at it in the next 24 hours and see what your plans are for your business. Because I really want to know. You know, I'm passionate about helping people build strong, productive businesses and build great incomes. Okay? So the first thing comes with a decision. See, you weren't born to be mediocre at anything. I absolutely know this about you. You're smart, you're talented. You've got what it takes to build the business to any level you choose. So you weren't born to be mediocre. So let's talk about the 5 things you need to do right now to really get the momentum going and really start to build and expand and grow your organization. First is get unstuck. Okay, I just reviewed with you 5 different places where people get stuck. Now, sometimes it's hard to recognize it when you're in the middle of it. So go back and, you know, review those, you know, those key things of, you know, how long you've been in the business, how far you've built up your compensation plan. You know, if you've added just a couple people in the last year to your team, or if you struggle to keep those bookings, whatever, your business is stuck, but we can fix it. So let's get it unstuck. The second thing is simplify. And this needs to happen at all levels of the business. You know, usually when I'm working with my coaching students and I say, we've got to look at how many samples you're taking to your parties. We have to fine tune your presentation so that it's very streamlined and easy for people to, you know, to copy, and so make your business duplicatable. They get that when it comes to consultants, but then they become leaders and they don't get that they also need to keep it simple and keep it something people can copy at the leader level. Right? Because if you have somebody who's already got a full-time job and busy kids and all these kinds of things, if they see you making that role very difficult, they're going to have a hard time thinking they can do it too. So you have to simplify at all levels of the business. Number 3 is give your personal business a tune-up. Okay, a couple years ago, I was so fortunate. One of my she was way down in my downline. She had attended some of my training, but she wasn't actually. She was only in my unit for maybe a couple months. Okay, because her manager promoted, and then she was in her upline manager's unit. And a couple years ago, she called me up and, you know, we hadn't talked in a while. And she called me because she knew I was doing coaching and she wanted some help. But when we started talking through her business, you know, she had been through the same training I had. You know, she'd been to lots of my training over the years. But because she had been with several different companies after ours ceased operations, suddenly she had learned how to complicate the bejeebers out of her business. So she was, you know, rubbing her tummy and patting her head and doing cartwheels to get bookings and taking way too many samples to her parties and doing all kinds of craziness. Okay. We had to streamline her business and give her skills a tune-up and get her back to basics. And then she started to explode her business. Become overly protective of your time. So as you are structuring how and when you will invest your time, if this isn't an activity that's going to lead you to building the sales of your organization or booking a new hostess or prospect or helping a team member work towards leadership, it's not a good use of your time. The rest of it can all be delegated or outsourced or eliminated or getting it off your plate. Okay, so you just have to really become almost obsessed with being very particular about how you invest your very precious time, right? Because we can't ever get it back. So look at those things. I always like to encourage people. Most don't do it, but I do it myself every once in a while. And that is to record throughout the day, just every couple hours, look back at what I just completed and record, so I can track what I did and how I spent my time. When I do it, I'm shocked at some of the areas where I waste time, and it really helps me stay very focused. And number 5, this is important. You need to hang out with people who have been where you want to go. Okay, so I can always tell if I go to a conference for any company and you kind of look at who's hanging out at the different tables, right? And you've got the consultants who aren't doing much, who really just come to go shopping and don't attend the training. And then you have, the tables, it's kind of the wannabes who've got some decent sales. Maybe they've earned some sales rewards, but they haven't really built teams. And then you got kind of the top leaders who are hanging out, over on another side, unless they're at tables with their teams. Okay. You want to hang out with the people in your business who are going places. And if there's nobody in your company that fits that role for you, then you need to find it somewhere else. That the late Jim Rohn used to say, you will be the average income of the 5 people you hang out with. So he always encouraged people to go and take a millionaire or a billionaire out for lunch, because what you learn from them and their thinking will just change your world dramatically. So you got to hang out with the people who have been where you want to go. Now, earlier I said I think every business person should consider using a coach. I wouldn't have said that when I first launched my business, but as I reached different places, it was so beneficial. So at 2 different times, I hired coaches as I was building my business, and I hired them for different reasons. I continue to use coaching and mentoring services in my current business because I know, if I'm out here as a lone wolf, I need somebody to bounce ideas off of, and sometimes somebody to say, that's crazy, don't do that. And so it's super important, and it's a great investment of your dollars. So when I used coaches, number 1, I wanted a different perspective. Sometimes our companies can become quite a culture, right? And so a lot of times, they've got, the thinking, and it doesn't always come from their corporate office. A lot of times it comes from their top distributors or top leaders and trickles down, right? And so I always wanted to work with a coach because she wouldn't be embedded in that culture. I also, at one of the times when I used coaching services, our company hired some amazing women who were sales directors out in the field, helping new leaders, helping people who were building to leadership. But when you looked at their track record in their former companies, I had built my business and organization bigger than most of them. Okay, so they hadn't been where I was trying to go. So I needed to connect with somebody who had that kind of experience to help me. I also knew I had to change my thinking and approach, right? So if you want to build to the top in your company and not be working around the clock 24/7, you have to shift how you think about your business, how you approach your business. You have to get really aggressive with getting things off your plate. You have to get really aggressive with optimizing. These days you have to put technology to work as much as possible, and lots of other things. So you have to change your approach to the business, or you stop and max out your growth because you're putting in so much energy and so much time that you will subconsciously stop your business growth. Okay, I knew that. And so I knew I had to work with somebody who could help me change my thinking and my approach. So if you're tired of watching others pass you by, if you know you can build deep down in your gut, right? Can you feel it? If you know you can build to the very top if you choose, If you are ready to take focused action, and notice I didn't say to work more hours. I said if you're ready to take focused action to build your business the smart rather than hard way, and if you have a clear vision of how building a big business can impact or transform your life, then I'd like to tell you about my new coaching programs. And I'm going to tell you my biggest why of what I wanted when I decided to build my business to the top in just a couple minutes. Okay, because it's really important. I want you to pay close attention to it. I wanted to find a way to make coaching more affordable for consultants and leaders, and at the same time, give you the personal attention that you need, because I love helping leaders build their businesses. Often upline leaders are just a step or two ahead of you, right? So they might not have the experience to give you the best advice, and it's just human nature, they might be excited about what it means for their own business. I strongly believe, based on my experience, that you need to focus on the exact training that a consultant or leader needs right now. What is it that they're missing that's causing them to be stuck at this point? I don't want to assign you to a coach that is personally trained by me, okay? That person, if they haven't built to where you want to go, they don't always see what's really going on. Okay, they mean well. They're nice people, but if they haven't been through all of it, they don't always recognize what could be holding back your business or ask the right questions. So my new coaching groups, it's 3 months of coaching, and that is 13 connections. Okay, because we connect once a week. Space is extremely limited. Calls are structured so each consultant or leader who's in the group has time for their business update. In fact, I use a timer because I don't want one person to monopolize all the time and then the other people not have enough time to get their questions and help. So I use a timer, okay, and it keeps us very efficient. There's three, I said there's, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hit the slide button. Call times are determined based on what works for all the group members. So let's say that we have several people who want to earn their first promotion, and most of them work full-time jobs. We will find a time in the evening then once a week for our coaching call. We pick the same time and day of the week unless I have a conflict, and then I ask way in advance for permission to alter the time frame. So there's 3 different groups. In the unlikely event you can't attend a call, because I really, one of the reasons that people invest significant dollars in coaching is that you want them so committed that they want to get every little penny out of their investment, right? So unless you have some major conflict, I would truly expect you to put those calls on your calendar and really commit to them. They're designed to help you earn or achieve a major milestone by the end of our 13 weeks together. So let me review the details and investment in each group. Group number 1. This is for those people who want to earn their first promotion, or maybe they earned one, didn't maintain it, so they're ready to work to re-qualify. This coaching group is limited to just 8 consultants, so these are going to fill quickly, okay? But it's perfect for new consultants who want to build quickly. It's perfect for any consultant, no matter how long they've been in the business, who is ready to take their business to the next level. It's perfect for any consultant who has promoted in the past but didn't maintain that promotion and is ready to earn it again. And you know what? You learned so much from that experience that this is going to be a breeze, but we've got to keep you on track. The goal from this group, depending on your comp plan, you'll either have qualified, earned a promotion, or you're ready to enter your qualification month. So like in my former company, qualification was a 3-month period. So in a program like this, you'd be ready to enter qualification. Your investment, now this is a huge discount, guys. It's just $497 to be one of those lucky 8 people. Now keep in mind, I have increased the price on my private one-on-one coaching. Those fees are now $34.97 per quarter. And it's a good deal, right? When you think about the big picture of where it can help somebody take their business, $34.97 is a really good deal. But I, like I said, I wanted to help people who've told me they'd love to be in coaching, but it's just not in their budget. And that's what this does for you. So this should, if you think about $497, that really should be your profits from just 2 or 3 parties, right? So it's really a reasonable investment for anybody who really has made this decision to take their business to that next level. So I want you to think about this. The approach you will learn for preparing for, earning a promotion, and continuing to build will be incredibly valuable as you continue to build your business and coach others. So what you learn from going through this process with me will teach you how to be effective when you are coaching people into their own promotions. So because of that, it's such a good investment, okay? Group number 2 is for new leaders or struggling leaders. And this group is limited to just 6 leaders. It's perfect for a new leader who wants to learn to make the transition from consultant to leader without it taking over their life and their time, right? So when I said they start to do all kinds of crazy stuff because they don't know any better and they want to, their vision of what they have to do to be a good leader, so they just complicate their business all over the place. This is also perfect for established leaders who struggle to get paid at title every month, because we're going to get you building and growing and on track. The goal, well, we want to simplify the role of leadership. Sorry for the typo. And we want to focus on building your foundation so that you have a highly productive team. Your milestone challenge during this 13 weeks together will be at least to double your team. Okay? And some of you will even go beyond that. Just depends on where your starting point is. Your investment to be in this group, again, this one only has 6 people, so your investment is just $997. And so one of the cool things with this program is I set up a one-on-one, basically business strategy call with each of you before we launch. So it's additional time on my part, but that way we can get very specific about your business. Now, if you think about that, sure, you could say, well, it's profits from just 4 or 5 parties, and that is one way to recover the cost of that investment. But I'd rather see you think of it as, I need to grow my organization and my commission check so I can completely cover the investment from leader commissions. So as an example, if you make a 5% commission, you would earn enough to recover that investment from $20,000 in group volume over the 3-month period. So, really not that big of a total. I want to see you recover it from your commissions, not your parties. But you've got, it's all money coming into your business. Group number 3, this is for leaders who need to promote leaders in order to earn their next promotion. This is limited to just 4 leaders because we've got to get into more detail about who you're focusing with, how you're working with each of those people. So it's maximum 4 leaders. Again, I do the one-on-one strategy session with each of those people. It's perfect for that leader who is ready to grow her organization to the top. Enough is enough, right? You're leaving way too much money in your company's checkbook when you are partway up the ladder and you're not at the top. Trust me, I used to track it. By the time I was within 6 months of earning the top level in my company, I was leaving $4,000 to $5,000 in my company's checkbook every month, and it drove me crazy. It was a short trip. All right, so the goals in this group with these leaders who are ready to move up their compensation structure is to learn my leader development strategies, and depending on your compensation plan and your current team size, earn 1 or even 2 promotions by the end of our 13 weeks together, right? We've got to get your systems going so you start cranking out leaders, again, as they're developed and ready, but consistently, like fill in the pipeline, like running a factory machine, keeps cranking out. And learn my proven systems and strategies for rapidly increasing your team production and determining exactly who to focus on for promotions. Your investment, again, there's only 4 leaders in this group, is just $19.97. And again, my private coaching fees would be $34.97. So you're saving an incredible amount. You'll also learn a lot from the discussions with the other leaders, right? Because maybe you haven't experienced it now, but you might run into the same issue or challenge that they're having, and you'll have that experience from them sharing to tap into. So that amount, that $19.97, it should be less than your commissions on your organization in 1 month. So as an example, if you're at 5%, your team volume would have to be $40,000 over the next 3 months to recover that investment. If you're at 9%, it would have to just be $23,000 per month. So we can make sure that you're building your organization's production. That's part of this whole plan, so that you're recovering that investment easily. Option 4 is the private coaching. Currently, I don't have any spots available. I can put you on the waiting list. I mean, I'm so fortunate. A lot of my private coaching students renew and keep their spots because they're getting such great results. But that does kind of lock out other people for the private coaching aspect. That investment is $34.97. It's got a lot of extras in there because, anyway, it's an entire system. Just think of it that way. Now, you're probably thinking, I'm not sure I can afford it. Okay, I believe me, when I was considering whether or not I should pursue a coach in my own business, I understand. I thought that through carefully and crunched numbers carefully. But the bigger question is, how much money are you leaving in your company's account each month because you haven't earned a promotion? From the minute you sponsor your first team member, every month that you're not at the highest level in your compensation plan, you're leaving money on the table. And I told you, I tracked it. I'm a numbers girl. It was significant dollars as I moved closer and closer to the top. So it's, how much are you leaving on the table? So you want to figure out how to move rapidly and not lose out on those dollars. My coaching students get clarity about their business and get rid of stress. So Heather Gall, she's with Young Living. She says, I was feeling overwhelmed with all the pieces of running my network marketing business. Taking Susie's training has helped me get organized and learn how to simplify the steps to my business. I now feel confident to train others on my team how to keep it simple using the skills of inviting, booking, follow-up, and training. Such practical skills. Thanks, Susie. NJ Audit. Before signing up for Susie's course, it was a group coaching course. I was committed to starting my new business, but was completely stalled. She was launching her own direct sales business. I did not know where to start. This course was exactly what I needed to move and continue to move my business forward. I now have a detailed plan. No matter your personal business goals, a couple parties or distributors a month, or building a 6-figure income, this course gives you the tools and skills you need. My coaching students have earned promotions. Mary Ann Sewell, I met her when I worked on the corporate side of the business. She decided to pursue a business with Melaleuca. She did private coaching for her first year because she had no experience in network marketing whatsoever. She now earns multiple promotions per year. And by the middle of this year, okay, she's been in business, I believe now 2.5 years. By the middle of this year, she will exceed the 6-figure income that she left from the corporate world. So she's just doing a tremendous job. I'm so proud of her, and she's a great friend now. Meredith Yost was originally in my organization in my former home party company. So to work with her as a coaching student was such an honor. She retired from her job in Silicon Valley a couple years ago, moved from California to New Mexico, and 3 months later, after moving and basically restarting her business, she earned a promotion in her wine shop at home business. My coaching students have also earned incentive trips. I love the story of Trisha. I met her. She attended a training program that I put on in January a couple of years ago. Her goal was to earn a promotion to director with 31 and earn the leadership trip. I met her in the middle of January. She started in private coaching. She had sponsored a couple people, but they weren't doing a whole lot. We got her really focused and streamlined because she was really making her business hard. Excuse me. And she qualified by the month of March. Okay, so 6 weeks later, she qualified and then kept right on going and earned the 31 leadership trip by the end of April for one person. So she got to go on her first trip. So you can make things happen fast in this business. Most of all, my students who are coachable and implement what they learn, streamline their businesses, build faster, and earn more money. So what's the next step for you? Well, I would love for you to reach out and connect with me. So I want you to go to, and I've got this coming up here on the right-hand side by the chat box, okay? I want you to go to directsalesdaily.com/connect. And you can fill out the information to set up a time to talk to me. Okay, we're going to just talk. I want to know what's going on with your business. I don't want people in my programs who aren't going to get great results, right? So I want to connect with you, talk about what's going on and what you've been working on. And then we would talk about which of those programs might be the best for you. Okay, so go ahead, fill that out. Obviously, the investment. I often, certainly, I want you to consider, because I value my time a lot and I want to help you. But if it's really that you have no intention of considering investing in the program, then I'd appreciate you not scheduling an appointment. But if you are ready to jump on board and you've made a decision that you're in business and you're going to build your business, then let's reach out and connect and get you in one of these programs. Okay. I don't want you in the program if it's not a good fit. So we'll know that when we connect. I've been where you hopefully want to go. It's fun. It's exciting. It can completely transform your life. As I explained, limited spots in each group. So there's 8 in the first group, there's 6 spots in the second group, and 4 in the third group, and that's it. So take fast action if you're interested. Once we're full, I can put you on a waiting list for the next time I launch new groups. Okay? Earlier, I shared how I caught the big vision when I attended my first conference. So there was that one thing I told you that I left with, it certainly switched my why. I wanted to be able to get out of my full-time job, and I wanted to have control of my schedule, and I wanted to be able to earn however much I wanted to earn. I didn't want to wait for somebody to give me a piddly raise, okay? But there was one more thing, and I want you to think about this carefully. The big idea, in fact, type it into the box if you think you know what it is. Type it in and send me an email if you think you know what my one big thing was that kept me focused. And I talked about, that I would track how much money I was not putting in my pocket and that sort of thing. But my big why that I came away from that conference with, I thought, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm part of this, it's a startup, but I'm part of this company that I think has the potential to really grow to something big. And I thought, I don't want to get down the road 2, 3, 4 years from now and still be stuck at that same spot, with just a couple people that I've sponsored and struggling to book parties. I didn't want to be stuck at that spot and look back and watch all these other people who were doing really well financially and had built big businesses. I didn't want to say, I could have done it too. Why didn't I do it? And I didn't want to have that regret, right? Because businesses change and flow. That's the nature of the beast. I didn't want to miss out on that opportunity. So I hope that's the same thing for you, because I can't think of a single good reason to build your business slowly. So go ahead, go to directsalesdaily.com. I've got it over there in the chat box, and set up a time to connect with me in the next couple days. And, we'll just spend half an hour, talk about what's going on with your business, and make a decision on whether or not one of these programs is right for you. All right. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you. Thanks so much for participating in this training. So talk to you in the next couple days.